Ravenwood High was the kind of place where rumors spread faster than announcements, where the halls swallowed secrets but amplified cruelty. And on a cold, gray Monday morning, a new rumor arrived in the form of a silent girl with midnight black hair and eyes that never quite met anyone else's. Her name was Ilara Rowan. She walked like a shadow, quiet, too quiet. No phone. No friends. No smile. Only a small silver bracelet she never took off, engraved with symbols no one recognized. To the teachers, she was polite. To most students, invisible, but to the wrong people, she was prey. The trio who ruled the school, Brody, Marla, and Jet, didn't like mysteries. They liked reactions. Fear. Tears. Entertainment, and Ilara gave them nothing. No fear, no anger, not even annoyance. That made her the perfect target. It started small, a shoulder bump, a stolen notebook, whispered taunts. Ilara simply stepped aside, picked up her things, and kept walking. Yo, what is wrong with her? Jet sneered. Maybe she's mute, Marla smirked. Or broken. But the deeper truth was simpler. Ilara had learned long ago that reacting only fed the monsters. Still, monsters don't like being ignored, and today, they picked the worst possible place to test her. It happened in 5th period biology, the old science lab with steel tables, sharp instruments, and glass everywhere. The air smelled of formaldehyde and chemical cleaners, and the fluorescent lights hummed like angry insects. Mr. Howell stepped out for a quick meeting, leaving the class buzzing. Brody leaned back, smirking. Time to crack the mute doll, he whispered, before anyone could stop it. The trio closed in. Ilara looked up, too calm, as Brody grabbed her wrist. You think you're better than us? Brody spat. Ilara simply whispered, let go. Brody laughed. Marla rolled her eyes. Jet grabbed her backpack and threw it across the room, and with one sudden shove, they lifted Ilara and slammed her onto the lab table, knocking over metal instruments with a loud clatter. Gasps echoed. Someone screamed. A beaker shattered on the floor, but Ilara didn't scream. She didn't fight. She only breathed out, slowly, like something inside her was awakening. Marla grabbed her bracelet. What's this? Some freakish. The lights flickered. The room dropped 10 degrees. Glass vibrated on shelves. A low, humming sound, unnatural, electric, filled the air. Ilara's eyes opened, glowing faint silver, and she whispered a sentence that froze every heartbeat in the room. You should not have touched the seal. Suddenly, the bracelet lit up, symbols swirling like liquid metal. A pulse of energy burst through the air, crawling across the walls, the tables, the bully's skin. Brody stumbled back. Jet cried out. Marla dropped the bracelet like it burned her. Shadows bent toward Ilara as if bowing. The air cracked with power, and for the first time in their lives, the bullies begged for mercy. The room shook violently, not like an earthquake, more like reality itself was vibrating. Students pressed against the walls, unable to look away from the girl on the table. Ilara stood slowly, the air warping around her like heat haze. Brody held up his hands. Wait. We were just messing around. Ilara stepped forward. The floor beneath her boots cracked. Messing around, she asked softly, but the voice that came out was layered, human, and something ancient. Jet dropped to his knees. We're sorry. We're sorry. We didn't mean. You never mean harm, Ilara whispered. But you deliver it anyway. The bracelet floated upward, glowing hotter. The symbols spun like constellations. Ilara extended her hand toward the bullies, and the silver light wrapped around them like spectral chains. Marla sobbed. Please. I don't want to die. You won't die, Ilara said. But you will learn. The chains tightened. Brody's breath came out sharp. Jet's eyes rolled back. Marla trembled uncontrollably. Then, instead of pain, images surged into their minds. Every student they had ever heard, every shove, every cruel laugh, every tear they caused. But from a new perspective, they were forced to feel what their victims had felt. The humiliation, the fear, the loneliness. It overwhelmed them, drowning them in a tidal wave of guilt and clarity. When the visions finally faded, the bullies collapsed. Shaking, crying, unable to even speak, Ilara closed her fist. The chains dissolved. The light stabilized. She walked toward them, calm again. Eyes normal. You used force to control others. I used truth to free you from yourselves. Brody sobbed. Why did you spare us? Because pain only creates more monsters, she said. But understanding turns monsters back into humans. The class watched in stunned silence. For the first time, the bullies couldn't look at anyone, including each other. Ilara walked to her bracelet, picked it up gently, and slid it back onto her wrist. The symbols dimmed, returning to quiet sleep. When Mr. Howell returned moments later, he froze at the sight of 3 bullies collapsed in a room full of speechless students, but Ilara simply smiled politely and said, Sorry, sir. I think they need to visit the nurse's office. That afternoon, news spread across the school, but not the usual exaggerated rumors. This time, the truth traveled, not about powers, not about light or symbols or chains, but about a girl who stood up to bullies without lifting a hand. A girl who didn't fight with fists, but with honesty, and strangely, every student whispered the same phrase. She didn't scare them, she changed them. Because by the next day, Brody, Marla, and Jet were different, quieter, kinder, almost protective of the girl they once targeted. And Ilara, she simply walked through the halls like before, silent, calm, unbothered. But now, no one dared mistake her silence for weakness again. For one strange, peaceful day, Ravenwood High felt different. The bullies were quiet, the halls felt lighter, and Ilara walked as if she finally belonged somewhere. But peace never lasts long in a place built on whispered rumors, and that afternoon, a rumor returned, this time not about Ilara, but something far older, darker, and hunting. The change began during 7th period, when the sky outside shifted from warm daylight to sudden storm gray. Thunder rumbled without rain. The lights flickered again, but this time, it wasn't Ilara. Students exchanged nervous glances. Another power outage? Feels weird, didn't this happen yesterday? But Ilara knew instantly something was coming, and it wasn't coming for the school. It was coming for her. After class, as students rushed out, Ilara stayed behind, staring out the window. The clouds were wrong, swirling inward, forming a spiral over the parking lot. Her bracelet warmed on her wrist. A soft vibration pulsed through her hand. She whispered, "Not yet, please, not here." Talking to yourself? Ilara turned sharply to it. Was Brody, the boy she had changed only a day earlier, standing awkwardly in the doorway, as if unsure he was allowed to talk to her at all. Ilara softened her gaze. "What is it?" He hesitated, then asked the question that had haunted him since their confrontation. "Who are you?" Ilara didn't answer. Not because she didn't want to, but because the room temperature suddenly dropped again, sharper than before. This time, it wasn't her doing. The shadows beneath the desks elongated, the ceiling lights dimmed to a low hum, papers rustled without wind. Brody's eyes widened. "Is that you?" "No," Ilara whispered. "This is something else." A low, guttural growl echoed through the vents. "Not an animal, not human." Something between a snarl and a whisper. Brody stumbled back. "Ilara, what is that?" Ilara clenched her fists. "It's the reason I don't stay in one place for long." The growl sounded again, closer, hungrier. Then, from the far corner of the room, where the light didn't reach, a shape began to form. Black smoke curled upward, twisting into long limbs, a narrow torso, and a face with no features except two faint, glowing slits where eyes should be. Brody froze. "Ilara, what?" Ilara stepped in front of him. "Stay behind me." The creature hissed, a voice scraping like metal. "Seeker of light. Return what you have awakened." Brody grabbed the edge of a table to steady himself. "What is it talking about?" Ilara lifted her wrist, the bracelet glowing faintly. "The seal," she whispered. "The power you triggered when you attacked me, it called them." The creature leaned forward. "You cannot protect them. You cannot hide." Ilara drew in a slow breath, steadying her heart. Brody whispered, Do we run?" "No," Ilara said. "Running makes it stronger." Then she stepped forward. The creature lunged, shadows whipped through the air like blades. Brody ducked, screaming, as desks knocked over, glass shattered, and the room plunged into near darkness. Ilara raised her arm. "Enough." The bracelet ignited in silver fire, erupting in a shockwave that pushed the monstrous shadow backward, tearing it apart for a moment. But the creature reformed, snarling. "You're weaker," it hissed. "You used the light on human children. Now you cannot stop us." Ilara grimaced. She had known this was coming, but not this soon. "Not here." Brody grabbed her arm, terrified but determined. "What can I do? Tell me." "Nothing," Ilara said firmly. "This fight is mine." Brody's jaw clenched. "But you saved us, you saved me." "I'm not letting you stand alone." Before she could argue, the creature attacked again, this time faster, ripping through the tables, sending chairs flying. Instinct took over. Ilara grabbed Brody's shirt and pulled him down just as a shadow blade sliced through the air where his head had been. They rolled behind the teacher's desk. More growls echoed as other shadows creeped along the walls. Brody's voice shook. "There's more than one?" "Yes," Ilara said, breath trembling for the first time. "They're scouts. If they find me," the creature roared, finishing her sentence, "they will come for all of you." Ilara stood slowly, eyes blazing brighter, silver light spreading from her wrist to her fingertips. The shadows recoiled. "You want the seal," she said. "Then come take it." Silver flames erupted from her palms, but they flickered weakly as the creature tilted its head, sensing her exhaustion. "The light fades, child. You are alone." A heartbeat passed, then another voice spoke, shaky but brave. "No, she's not." Brody stepped beside her, terrified, shaking, but refusing to back down. "Ilara changed us," he said. "Now it's our turn." More footsteps approached the doorway. Marla's jet, even quiet students who had watched everything yesterday, they didn't know what they were facing, they didn't understand the danger, but they came anyway. Ilara's eyes widened. "You shouldn't be here." Marla held a broken broom like a weapon. "Too late." Jet swallowed hard. "We're with you." The creature growled at the growing crowd. Ilara breathed out, this time not in fear, but in awe. These students, who yesterday were divided by cruelty and silence, stood together for the first time, and they stood with her. The creature recoiled, sensing the shift in energy. Ilara stepped forward. "That's where you're wrong," she said. "I'm not alone anymore." The bracelet exploded in brilliant, blinding light, brighter than anything yet. The shadow shrieked.